कितना हम और कर पाएंगे। मान लीजिए हमने 20 सीएम काम कर लिया, हमने आगे का प्रोग्रेस दिया है कि हम 30 सीएम और कर लेंगे, और
श्योर
फिर
श्योर,
हिंड्रेंस है, वो सारी चीजें हैं,
यस यस। सो
और
बेसिकली
लाइकली वो चला जाता है अपना मंथली में। जी
हाँ
सर।
हाँ, मतलब बेसिकली अगर मैं समराइज करने की बात करूं, मतलब आपका जो जवाब है और जो मुझे राजेश ने जवाब दिया, अगर मैं दोनों को समराइज करने की कोशिश करूं तो इट विल बी लाइक कि हम पहले ये समझते हैं कि हमारे पास सच में डेटा कितना अवेलेबल है, राइट। मतलब अगर मैं एक मॉल में हूं तो मेरे पास बहुत
यस
सारे
सर, यस
टाइप का
सर।
डेटा होगा, राइट। तो मैं क्या करूंगा, उस पहले डेटा को मैं पहले समझूंगा कि मेरे पास डेटा क्या है, ठीक है। एंड व्हाट इज द स्कोप ऑफ डेटा, राइट। स्कोप ऑफ डेटा मींस मेरा डेटा स्टार्ट कहाँ पे होता है एंड खत्म कहाँ पे होता है। सो सपोज इन अ मॉल आई एम स्टार्टिंग माय डेटा फ्रॉम द प्रोडक्ट लेवल, व्हाट आर द प्रोडक्ट्स दैट आई हैव, एंड माय डेटा विल एंड एट maybe max to max transaction level, like which customer has
यस सर।
bought
यस
what
यस यस।
products and what are the quantities and what is the amount for that, and whether that transaction was done through a particular device, what was the method, what were the IPs that were used. Obviously that is not my scope, that has to be done by banking sector.
यस यस सर।
The moment my product is sold, my job is over.
यस सर।
So this is my scope of data. Similarly in your construction, from the point when certain material is dropped in your location construction site up to the point where the building is complete, that is my scope of data. And after that, whatever the sales is being made, that is maybe that data is maybe specific to that contractor or maybe the people who are buying the houses, right? So
That would be in terms of RA bill, you could say, sir.
yes, yes, but then that
That
is
is
not,
that is
that
the,
is
that is the ultimate goal for the billing. Once it got certified, because once it got done, that is not certified. Once it got billed, that is certified.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, but I
Yes, sir.
have some limit at, like, this is the scope of my data. So basically when you start creating a database, you have to define that what is my scope of data, okay, and how can I segregate my data. Basically, how can I create a table in such a way that I can read my data very easily. If I keep all the data in a single data in a single data table, obviously it will be very lengthy to read the data. Suppose in a table, suppose if you have a table which has thousands of columns and maybe lakhs of rows, right. If
Yes,
you
sir.
want to find a particular value, it will be very difficult. So what I can do is I can separate my tables, okay. And even after separating my tables, suppose if I can come up with, say, maybe up to 300 tables, okay. Now from a single table, I distributed my data, and then putting them into 300 different tables. But then even memorizing those 300 tables is quite difficult for me, right? So what I can do next is, once I have database, I have defined what are the tables that I'm going to be creating. Maybe I can group those tables, right? So if I can group my tables in 4 categories, I will say my product category, maybe my staff category, maybe my sales category, and maybe some repairing maintenance category, right? So that way, if I want to find an information about a particular employee, I'll go to the staff category of tables. If I want to find the details or availability of a particular product in my store, I'll go to the product category, right? Is that clear? Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that is really what is called as schema. So basically in schema, okay, so that is what we call as schema. Schema is nothing but grouping of data tables in separate fashion, in a particular fashion where you can understand your table easily. So if you see here, if I just use a smaller database, okay, so if I use a smaller database, you can see here I have around say 7 to 8 tables, but then instead of giving them only the names, I have given them some category as well. So like these, so now even if you, by looking at the table name itself, if you see these are production, so maybe these will have information regarding the production. These are sales dot customer, sales dot order, sales dot orders item, sales dot staff. So like all this, in all these tables will have information regarding my sales, right? So I hope this is clear, right? Why do we need to group my tables? To have a better understanding of the data, right? Are we clear with this, or should I repeat something? Should I repeat it once again?
Sir, actually, my doubt is where we got this details. I mean,
Okay, that is a different thing. We will get into that. But then right now, did you got the importance of why do we need to categorize our tables?
yeah, these data are been categorized, already categorized, right?
Yeah. But my point right now, my question here is, do you guys got the feel of why do we need to group our tables in different categories? Right? Did you got that point at least? Like, why do we need to actually group our tables? Like, obviously we have large set of data, we grouped them into different tables, and now we are grouping those tables as well. Did you got that point? No? Yes or no, people? Okay, let me try to explain it again. So in a simple words, so suppose if I have large amount of data, I will store them in multiple tables, and if I have large number of tables, i can I can group those tables depending upon the particular category. Okay, all this is done so that I can easily understand my data, right? Is that clear? Hello? No.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Is that clear what I'm trying to explain you guys? Okay, I'll quickly try to explain it again. Okay, so let's say okay, in this we'll refer to this only. Say suppose how do I explain you?
Yeah, this is
Suppose,
clear, sir.
okay, this is clear, right? Okay, so if this is clear, let's move forward. Okay, so let's move forward, and yeah, so we have understood what is database, right? And we have understood what is table. Okay, so this grouping of table itself is called as schema. Nothing, schema is nothing new. It is just grouping of tables. What is schema? Schema is simply grouping of tables. That is that clear? What is schema? Schema is simply grouping of table. I'll tell you how this grouping is done. Okay, but at this point, are you guys clear with what is schema? Hello?
Yes, sir, this is clear.
Okay. uh Rajesh and Saurabh, Gopi.
सर स्कीमा नहीं पता मुझे स्कीमा क्या
Okay, database और tables तक clear है? Hello? हाँ, मैं बोल रहा हूँ database और ठीक है, database और table clear है, तो हम स्कीमा बताता हूँ मैं क्या होता है। ठीक है, अभी जैसे मान लो आपने आपने डेटाबेस बना लिया कि हाँ भाई मुझे एक मतलब डेटाबेस ऐसा होगा कि मुझे इस जगह पे पूरा डेटा स्टोर करना है। अभी नेक्स्ट टॉपिक आता है कि वो डेटा कैसे बांटोगे, तो आपने बोला मैंने उसको अलग अलग टेबल के हिसाब से बांट दिया, राइट? इतना क्लियर है ना? हेलो हेलो,
यस सर
इतना
वी
क्लियर है?
सेग्रीगेट टेबल्स
हाँ, तो हमने क्या किया, हमने जो डेटा था उसको हमने अलग अलग टेबल से बांट दिया। अभी अगला सवाल आता है कि अगर मेरे पास बहुत सारे टेबल क्रिएट हो जाते हैं तो मैं उनको पहचानूंगा कैसे? अभी से मैंने बनाया है तो मुझे पता है कि किस टेबल में क्या डेटा है। मे बी शायद मैं 4 महीने बाद मैं खुद ही भूल जाऊं कि मैंने कौन से टेबल में क्या डेटा रखा था, राइट? तो मैं ये बोल रहा हूं, अगर मैं टेबल को बांट दूं अलग अलग ग्रुप में, जैसे कि जिन टेबल में मेरे स्टाफ का इंफॉर्मेशन है, मैं उस टेबल को ग्रुप ही बना दूं कि हाँ भाई ये मेरे स्टाफ ग्रुप के टेबल है। ठीक है, अगर मेरे पास सारे सामान का जो भी मेरे पास मेरे मेरे मेरी दुकान में क्या क्या सामान रखा हुआ है, अगर मैं उन सारे टेबल्स का नाम ऐसा कुछ कर दूं कि मतलब या फिर उन सारे टेबल्स को मैं ग्रुप बना के उस ग्रुप का नाम मैं दे दूं प्रोडक्ट ग्रुप, है ना? तो हो गया, प्रोडक्ट ग्रुप के अलग टेबल हो गए मेरे पास, और मेरे पास स्टाफ ग्रुप के अलग टेबल हो गए। अब कैसा होगा, अगर मुझे कल को किसी स्टाफ की इंफॉर्मेशन निकालनी होगी तो ऑब्वियसली मैं प्रोडक्ट वाले टेबल को नहीं छूंगा, मैं क्या करूंगा, सिर्फ सिर्फ स्टाफ ग्रुप में अगर 4-5 टेबल है तो मैं सिर्फ उन्हीं 4-5 टेबल में ढूंढूंगा। इतना मानते हो?
यस सर
है ना? तो अब क्या हो गया, अब अगर मेरे पास ऐसे 500-600 टेबल भी बन जाते हैं कल को, तो मुझे 500-600 टेबल को देखने की जरूरत नहीं है, मुझे सिर्फ
Yes.
इतना याद रखना है कि मुझे बस वो 4-5 ग्रुप के नाम याद रखने हैं। तो उससे आसानी क्या होगा, अगर मुझे ग्रुप का नाम पता है तो ग्रुप के अंदर तो मैं 4-5 टेबल ढूंढ सकता हूँ, है ना?
यस सर
तो अब क्या हो गया, अब क्योंकि मैंने टेबल को ग्रुप में बांट दिया तो मुझे डेटा ढूंढने में आसानी हो गई। तो ये जो टेबल को ग्रुप में बांटते हैं, ये ग्रुप को जो, तो ये जो ग्रुप बनाते हैं, इसी ग्रुप को हम बोलते हैं स्कीमा। ठीक है।
एग्जाम्पल से बता सकते हो?
हाँ, अब मैं लाइक अब बोलने से जितना मैंने बोला उतना समझ गया ना, तो अब मैं आपको
हाँ जी।
एग्जांपल दिखाता हूँ। तो जैसे मान लो अब मेरे पास, मान लो मेरे पास एक एक मिनट थोड़ा म्यूट। ओके ओके। सो मान लो, हाँ मान लो मेरे पास एक ऐसा है, लाइक मेरे पास टेबल्स हैं, और टेबल से मेरे पास ऐसे बहुत सारे टेबल्स हैं। ठीक है। जैसे एक ब्रांड टेबल हो गया, ठीक है, BRAND ब्रांड टेबल हो गया, एक कैटेगरी टेबल हो गया, एक प्रोडक्ट टेबल हो गया, स्टॉक टेबल हो गया, कस्टमर, ऑर्डर आइटम, ऑर्डर, स्टाफ, स्टोर। या फिर अगर आपको थोड़ा और बड़ा देखना है तो ये देखो, यहाँ पे मेरे पास इतने सारे टेबल है ना। टेबल का लिस्ट दिख रहा है कितना बड़ा है ना। तो अब इतने सारे टेबल हो गए, अब इतने सारे टेबल से मुझे याद रखना तो बहुत मुश्किल है। तो मैं क्या करूंगा, मैं जो कुछ कुछ टेबल के जो नाम है, मैं उनको ना इस, जैसे यहाँ से देखो, यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक वाले सारे टेबल का नाम कैसे स्टार्ट हो रहा है, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डॉट समथिंग, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डॉट समथिंग। मतलब क्या हुआ, ये जो सारे मेरे टेबल हैं, ये एक पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप के हैं। तो ये कौन सा ग्रुप है, ये है ह्यूमन रिसोर्स ग्रुप। सो ऑल दिस टेबल बिलोंग टू माय ह्यूमन रिसोर्स ग्रुप। सिमिलरली all these tables belong to my person group. Similarly, all these tables at the bottom, all these tables belong to my sales group. Right. So that way I have segregated my tables, or I have categorized my table into separate groups. इतना क्लियर है?
यस सर।
ओके। अभी ये कैसे करते हैं वो मैं दिखाता हूं अभी आपको। ठीक है। So I hope everybody is clear at this point. Everybody is clear with what is database, what is schema, and what are
Yes.
tables,
Okay.
right? Right. Everybody is clear with that, right?
यस सर, राइट।
Okay. So once we are good with that, let's try to actually create and see how these things are, how these things work in your database. So what you do is, first of all, let's create a new database. So for that, once you are inside this SQL Server Management Studio, maybe you can just right click on the server name, right click and say new query. Okay, it is taking time. What happened? Okay, so either you can do it from here, or you can directly say right click. Okay, sorry, on the database folder you can say right click and say new database. Okay, whatever way work for you, आपको जिससे आसान पड़ता है आप उससे यूज करो। बट देन यहाँ पे आप डेटाबेस का नाम प्रोवाइड करोगे, इसे टेस्ट DB। ठीक है, तो आपको डेटाबेस का नाम मिल जाएगा। नहीं तो हम लोग यहाँ से कमांड से भी करते हैं। सो क्योंकि हमें डेटाबेस क्रिएट करना है, सो इट इज एज सिंपल एज क्रिएट, ओके, डेटाबेस, और डेटाबेस का नाम, तो जैसे डेटाबेस का नाम देता हूं माई टेस्ट डेटाबेस। ओके, सिर्फ इतना से कमांड एग्जीक्यूट करने पे मेरा एक डेटाबेस क्रिएट हो जाएगा। और अगर मैं कनेक्शन को रिफ्रेश करूं, ठीक है, अगर मैं कनेक्शन को रिफ्रेश करता हूं तो आप देखो मेरा एक डेटाबेस बन गया है। अब क्यों, क्योंकि डेटाबेस में मैंने कोई टेबल नहीं बनाया है, तो मेरे पास आप देखोगे फोल्डर्स अवेलेबल है, बट सारे फोल्डर्स खाली पड़े हैं। तो मतलब मेरे पास एक्चुअली अभी सिर्फ डेटाबेस बना है, डेटाबेस के अंदर कोई भी टेबल नहीं बना है। इतना क्लियर है डेटाबेस कैसे क्रिएट करते हैं? क्लियर हो गया? एंड आप लोगों को ये सब चीजें जब आप when you will be working on this Power BI, you won't be creating database, but then you should have a good understanding of how these things are actually working in the back end. Okay, so whatever we are doing right now, these things you will never be doing in your work, like in your job profile. But then when you apply for a job, when you face for an interview, maybe you will be questioned on these things. Okay, so like I have also been working in this domain for last 5 years, but I have never created a single table in production. Okay, so this is how actually things work. But then just to have understanding, let's I hope everybody is clear with how do we create the database, right? Okay, my spelling mistake and my लिख दिया मैंने. So everybody got how do we create a database?
यस सर।
Okay, it is pretty much
It's
straightforward.
clear, sir.
You just need to run a command that is create database, and database. Okay, so now we will close this window. Why we are closing this window, I'll tell you later down the line. Okay, but then sorry, I need to close this. I don't need to save. Okay, and now in my database, I'll create again, I'll go to the new query. So whenever you want to write a query, you just click on the database, maybe or on the server, and then you can get a new query. Okay, database, new query, right? So when I say when I click create a new query, maybe I'll just to save time, I'll copy my code from here. Okay, so I hope it is visible to everybody clearly. Okay, so now we have created our database. Okay, so what we'll do is we will not create another database. So we'll use our existing database, that is my test db, and गलती से आ गया guys वहाँ पे, ठीक है? So अगर so next time what we can do is we know right कि हमारे पास क्या क्या tables बनाने वाले हैं. So what we can do is we can initially create the groups as well. So what we'll do is we'll say I want to create a group, that is my production group, right? If you see here, okay, if you see here, I have my tables into separate groups, right? I have my table, okay, I have my table in production group, also in sales group, right? So what I will do, I'll create my, first of all, I'll create my groups. So maybe I'll just create a schema and then run it. So group means schema. So I'll create schema production. For database, create database name, create schema name. So if you see, I have created my schema. Similarly, I can create another schema as well. Okay, so by both these schemas are created. So मैंने एक group बता दिया कि like मेरे पास इस type के group होने वाले हैं. I'm going to have so many groups for my tables. Okay, is that clear? We have now we know how to create database and also how to create a particular group or schema. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at this point we are 90% done with the concept of database and schema. Only remaining thing is your interview questions. So as I have mentioned, they might ask what is schema. Okay, you guys can note it down. What is schema? Why do we use schema? Okay, and what is, like, suppose if we already have less number of tables, do we need schema? The answer to all the three. So let's answer first one. Can anybody tell me what is schema? Hello? Anybody want to try? What is schema?
A
Sir,
group of tables, right?
Yeah,
Schema is
schema
It
is
is a
group
group of tables.
defines
yeah.
the database.
So as simple as it is group of
Defines the
table
database.
or grouping of table in a particular database. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now next question is, can we have same schema, like can we have two schemas with the same name? Can we have two schemas with the same name?
no.
No.
नो, बिकॉज कोई मतलब ही नहीं बनता ना. अगर मैं दो ग्रुप बना दूं, एक स्टाफ और दूसरा एक ग्रुप बना दूं स्टाफ, तो मतलब क्या हुआ दो ग्रुप बनाने का, राइट? लेकिन अगर मैं यही चीज दो अलग अलग डेटाबेस में करता हूं तो मतलब बनता है.
Yes.
So the answer is no, you cannot have same schema name, like two schema with same name in a same database, but then you can have same schema name in different databases, राइट? जस्ट एकदम लॉजिकल चीज है, मतलब कुछ याद रखने वाली बात चीज नहीं है, खाली एकदम लॉजिकल है कि हाँ भाई एक ही डेटाबेस में दो स्कीमा सेम नाम से बना के मतलब नहीं है, लेकिन ऑब्वियसली अलग अलग डेटाबेस में आई कैन गो विद दैट. सो this is the, like this can be asked in your interview. Next question, let's jump to the next question. Why do we need schema? Why do we need schema? Just for better understanding of tables, right? Now my question is, if I have only 4 to 5 tables, okay, do I need to define schema?
Actually, sir, depend on the tables.
Exactly, that is the very correct answer. There is no right yes or no answer to it. It will depend upon the tables. Suppose out of those 4 tables 3 are related, maybe I can group them together, right? So it will depend upon the type of table. So that is the way you answer in your interviews. Okay, so I hope you guys have noted those questions. Okay, and obviously I'll try to share that as well after the lecture, but then these are the maximum questions that you will be getting from schema and database level. Okay, now how do we create database? It is as simple as create database dot database name, and again for the schema, create schema name. So at this point, there is nothing more you need to know about the schema and database from business analyst perspective. Okay, and if they question you, can you control the permissions and all those things, you can easily say, ma'am, there is some functionality available, but then I haven't worked on that. That is sufficient answer. Okay, because you will never be actually doing that. Okay, so let's hoping that you guys got the feel of database and schema. Now let's create a table. Okay, so okay, before that, if anybody is interested, okay, you need not to what I'm going to show right now, you can forget it 100%, but then let's just get what I'm trying to say. If you guys can understand this, it is very good for you. Or else, if even if you don't get this particular section of code, there is no harm. Okay, so if I just uncomment this one, okay, we'll see how